And I really think the only thing that saved me that day was my parents had came home early, and it kind of, I didn't want them to witness me blowing my brains out, even though I was getting the gun. And so I put everything back, and I kind of realized I had hit rock bottom on the loser scale at that point. It was really a wake-up call for me. Now, that was in my 6th grade year, which was after my dad had shortly started beating me. And so my 7th grade year, I decided to try to clean up my act. I still hadn't stopped drinking yet, though. But I did try out for several sports teams, including the football team, the wrestling team, and track and field. Which, by the way, I hated track, but I discovered 2 of my passions there, which were wrestling and football. Now, my 7th grade year, my football was very limited. I was second string, which was understandable for it being my first time. And for wrestling, I went 9-18. I got my ass handed to me a lot. So, yeah, as you can see, I got my ass kicked a lot. However, I did manage to qualify for middle school state my first year wrestling, which for me was very impressive and kind of my motivation to keep wrestling. I still was on the fence about it until I qualified that day. I actually went on a huge run, and that was actually where I gained most of my wins for the season. But anyway, that's kind of getting off track. So here comes my 8th grade year. I'm serious about sports, and I decide I am going to quit drinking, and I want to get a college scholarship to Boise State. Which I know, long shot. But, I had found my passion. I was back on the football team again, and I became a starter on defense, and I didn't have the greatest season, but I didn't have the greatest season, but I did impress my freshman coaches enough to make me a starter again my freshman year, which we'll get to that in a sec. And in wrestling, I posted a much more impressive 20 in, I think I had like 10 losses, so I went 50% pretty much in wrestling. And sorry there's not a whole lot of drawing here in these parts, but I don't really know how to draw wrestling or football. So, yeah, there's pretty much my 8th grade summed up. However, in middle school, my grades did suffer when I wasn't in a sport. In 8th grade, I did not live up to my potential very well. I actually at one point had all Fs, except for I had a B plus in PE, which a lot of people are even going, how do you even get a B in PE? But it happened. I did not dress out. I was very stubborn. So here comes freshman year, and I had just been grounded and got my ass whooped severely for having terrible grades all summer. And so my freshman year, I set a few goals, which were perfect attendance, better grades, and to do well in my sports. Which, for the most part, I completed. I did fairly well in my sports for a freshman. My grades were a lot better. I had almost straight A's. And I did accomplish perfect attendance. Now, there were a couple things that held me back. First of all, my lowest grade in freshman year was a C-, which was in English for BS reasons, which I will not go into detail. Let's just say I hate sick kids. My football went very well. I had gotten a lot better at football, and I probably hit the quarterback 10 times that year. My wrestling was where things got more complicated. I got a concussion my freshman year in a freak accident, no less, in wrestling, which resulted in me missing the first 4 weeks of